The Boulder City Police Department and Boulder City Fire would like to welcome everyone to the third annual Combined Awards Recognition Ceremony. Today we will recognize police and fire personnel for the dedication and outstanding work for our city, volunteers that have risen to the challenge to help our agencies and the community. This year, we've added a new one as well. This year we'll also be adding awards for our partner department, the Boulder City Municipal Court. I am Chief Greg Chesser, Deputy Fire Chief, Boulder City Fire Department. We'd also like to extend a very special welcome to all the men and women, Boulder City Police Department, Boulder City Fire Department, and Boulder City Court Marshals and their families. Thank you guys. I think our crowd gets larger every year.
So before we begin and recognize our teams, we'd like to introduce some special guests that we have here today. I would like to invite them to stand up as I call your name. Please bear Joe Hardy, Councilman Steve Walton, City Manager Taylor Taylor, Finance Director Cynthia C, City Director Michael Mays, Parks and Recreation Director Ryan Hall, Utilities Director Joe Stevens, Chief Cooper Snow of National Park Service, Henderson Police Department Acting Chief Boucher, Captain Brian Sheedy, and Captain Brooks, Boulder City Attorney Brittany Walker, and Boulder City Clerk Kevin McCoy. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, and City Councilwoman Cokie. We'd like to take the time to recognize the awards committee members and invite them to stand and be recognized also. I don't know who you are, so you know who you are, please.
We'd also like to recognize our event sponsors for today, Boulder City Dam Credit Union, Southwest Diner, McDonald Financial, and the law offices of Patrick Driscoll. So I'd like to introduce our special guest and narrator for today. The MC for this year's award presentation is a former commercial radio broadcaster. At the culmination of his 50-year career, Ron Russ and his wife Kathy became Boulder City residents 3 years ago, moving here from Los Angeles. Ron began his profession as a small-town DJ and wound up being a full-time announcer for a radio station in Los Angeles. Ron was also the announcer for a short-lived Chevy Chase television show on Fox and has voiced hundreds of radio commercials and scores of TV commercials. As someone always interested in law enforcement, Ron joined the police department as a volunteer patrol officer in late 2021 and has been an active member ever since. Ron, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chief Chesser, Chief Gray, Police Chief Shea, Lieutenant Healing, Mayor Hardy, members of our City Council, distinguished guests. I would like to sincerely thank those decision makers in charge for the honor of being this afternoon's MC, being given the opportunity to be just a small part of recognizing the amazing service, heroism, and dedication to serving and protecting the citizens of Boulder City is truly a high honor. So I thank you. Let's get started. The first awards we will be presenting will be for the Boulder City Fire Department. I would like to invite Chief Gray up to the podium to present the awards. Chief. Firefighter Featherly, please come forward. The Lifesaving Award is presented to paramedic firefighter Brandon Featherly, his second Lifesaving Award for actions on July 14, 2022, during an emergency medical response call for a patient that went into respiratory arrest, trending to cardiac arrest during transport. His quick actions to reverse the situation to save the patient's life clearly shows his commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire rescue and emergency services possible. The Life-Saving Award is presented to paramedic firefighter Brian Shea, his second Life-Saving Award. Paramedic firefighter Jimmy Whitworth, also his second Life-Saving Award. Reserve paramedic firefighter Elijah Hubbard, and cadet firefighter Jared Halsizer for actions on May 10 of this year during an emergency medical response call for a patient who was unresponsive and pulseless. The team quickly took necessary actions to reverse the situation confirming a pulse and sinus tach rhythm prior to transporting the patient to the hospital. These efforts save the patient's life and clearly show their commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire rescue and emergency services as possible. The fire department commendation is awarded to a member or members where a highly credible accomplishment was performed within the scope of their duties and job description set forth by the fire department. The commendation is presented to Deputy Fire Chief Greg Chesser. His second commendation, Captain Josh Barone, firefighters Carl Ford and Sarah MITRE, and paramedic firefighters Nick Giles and Alex Zukas, and Harold Hadley for their efforts in the department achieving accreditation through the Commission on Fire Accreditation International. Boulder City Fire Department is one of only 308 fire departments around the world that holds this status. Deputy Chief Chesser, please come forward. The Fire Chief's Award recognizes an individual that has exemplified him or herself in their respective service, which may include actions that the member has taken on or off the job, which furthers the tradition of the fire service. The Fire Chief's Award is presented to Deputy Chief Greg Chesser for his collaboration with multiple agencies, plural, throughout the county as a representative of the fire chief and the department specifically toward emergency management. These efforts result in large, comprehensive documents requiring a high amount of time commitment that most departments can assign to a group of different people with more staffing. Chief Chesser's actions show his commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire rescue and emergency service possible. The Fire Chief's Award recognizes an individual that has exemplified him or herself in their respective service, which may include actions that the member has taken on or off the job, which furthers the tradition of the fire service. The Fire Chief's Award is presented to Fire Analyst Sarah MITRE for her efforts in the department's Community Risk Reduction Program, where she works tirelessly with local businesses to install over 20 automated external defibrillators in the business areas of our city. This year, the fire department established the Reserve Firefighter of the Year Award, which recognizes accomplishments in line with devotion to duty, service to the public, and bringing positive acclaim to the department. All reserve firefighters with a minimum of 1 year of service are eligible and nominated by their peers. The 2023 Reserve Firefighter of the Year is paramedic firefighter Robert ACEVEDO and now full-time probationary firefighter QUINCIE HINES. Firefighter of the Year recognizes the accomplishments in line with devotion to duty, service to the public, and bringing positive acclaim to the department. The 2023 Firefighter of the Year is firefighter Carl Ford. The Medal of Merit is awarded to a member who performs a notable act of distinction in the performance of duty and reflects the integrity and devotion shown by the recipient. The Medal of Merit is awarded to Captain Jim VIVONE, retired, for his dedication to the city of Boulder City and Boulder City Fire Department for 32 years of service. Upon the completion of the Fire Academy, or for a new position, it is customary for the members to receive their badge in front of their family and department members. Chief Porter has been with the department for several months and brings a wealth of knowledge from his years of service to the city of Henderson and Nevada test site. Welcome, Chief. A final congratulations to the recipients of the 2023 Boulder City Fire Department Award recipients. The Police Department Awards are given to groups and/or individuals as nominated by their supervisors and approved through the employee management team, commander, or chief of police. Each of these awards was reviewed, vetted, and approved through this process. This first set of awards is for the police department, and the first award being given tonight is a certificate of appreciation. The Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to members, other law enforcement agency officers, or public safety employees for continuous outstanding performance of duty or to employees who render a duty or service of commendable nature. For over 5 years, this sergeant has displayed exemplary performance at the Art in the Park event in Boulder City. The department received multiple compliments from citizens, as well as event coordinators, recognizing this sergeant. One later stated that, quote, "This officer was incredible, answering questions and giving directions to people, directing traffic and assisting vendors in need. His demeanor was constantly pleasant. He remained so calm, doing multiple tasks in the heat, and operations went like clockwork under his direction." The event coordinator wrote, quote, "He responded to the call of duty and worked tirelessly over the course of the multi-day event. Never once did his demeanor or work ethic falter as he dealt with multiple situations at any given time, even as the long days presented a variety of challenges. Sweat on his brow, smile on his face, his service still resonates in the praise we have received during and after Art in the Park. Without him, we simply could not put on this event," end quote. Will Sergeant Greg TOMAO please come up to the podium? The next certificate of appreciation goes to an outstanding Boulder City Police Department volunteer. She's been a volunteer with the department since January of 2022. She volunteers an average of 30 hours each month. In May of last year, she took over the responsibilities of the You Are Not Alone, or YANA program, which provides a resource for elderly residents of the community. She has done an outstanding job with this program. She spends several hours each week contacting our various clients. She is always enthusiastic and cheerful while performing her volunteer duties, and is a great asset to the BCPD volunteer program. Will CHERIE Henderson please come forward? Our next recognition for the police department is the letter of commendation. The letter of commendation is awarded to members or other law enforcement agency officers or public safety employees for an act of service resulting in unusual and/or outstanding achievement. Over a year ago, the Henderson Police Department and the Boulder City Police Department began to work together for their in-service training. The goal of this combination was to provide real-world, scenario-based training, which significantly improves the safety and effectiveness of our officers and the citizens they protect. BCPD and HPD officers have since worked together, combining their efforts, which included providing over 900 hours of training to BCPD officers from June of 2022 to May of this year, continuously modifying instructor schedules to accommodate varying training hours, working extra hours, including overtime, to ensure the entire department goes beyond meeting basic training requirements, developing and implementing lesson plans, conducting equipment inspections, staying current on latest legal trends, and training recommendations. Their dedication to provide real-world, live scenario training has allowed BCPD officers to have the tools they need to manage the varying calls and dangers our officers encounter. After Boulder City High School received their first hoax active shooter call, several of the line-level officers provided feedback stating, "We went into that school as a team, just as we were trained. Everyone knew their role and what to do. We were confident because we had seen this before in training." Will the following officers please come to the podium? HPD Lieutenant Matthew Murnane, HPD Sergeant Craig Mancuso, HPD Officer Julio Machado, HPD Officer Daniel Narbonne, HPD Officer Joshua Loftus, HPD Officer Fanny Tomasino, HPD Officer Timothy Hasty, HPD Officer Trevor Fuentes, HPD Officer Donald Tetty, HPD Officer Scott Williams, Sergeant Pete Wheeler, Officer Chad Richner, Officer David Crum, Detective Kenny Calzada, Officer Guy Ledke, Detective Mark Dubois, Officer Armando Salazar, Officer Ian Ham, and Officer Ryan Eady. next letter of commendation goes to a Boulder City sergeant. Starting last October, this sergeant began posting to BCPD's social media about some traffic stops and arrests that were occurring during his shift. His approach was unique in that he has a very humorous storytelling ability and is able to take mundane subjects and make them more engaging and fun. He also spends time interacting in the comments section of his posts. The community has responded with an overwhelming majority of the comments being positive. Since the time of posting his content, the number of followers on Boulder City Police Department pages has more than doubled. He understands the importance of establishing a good relationship with the community he serves, and he recognizes the opportunity to do so through social media. Will Sergeant Pete Wheeler please come to the podium? And we accept that on his behalf. Our next letter of commendation is given to a new officer for his exceptional performance in the academy. This officer joined BCPD in early 2022 and was the first BCPD recruit to attend the Henderson Police Academy. During his attendance, the feedback included comments such as, his officer safety is exceptional. He's a natural leader and great example to other recruits. He's intelligent with sound decision-making skills. He graduated from the Henderson Police Academy as the class valedictorian, an award given to the highest performing recruit in the class. He also received the Top Shot Award, which is an award given to the most accurate shooter in the class. He proudly represented Boulder City in the academy and established a solid reputation that the new recruits will have to work hard to maintain. He also maintained his loyalty to the Boulder City Police Department, even when he was constantly, jokingly, asked to consider transferring to HPD. Will Officer MATTISON please come to the podium? In March of 2023, Nevada Highway Patrol Dispatch received a report from two individuals of a possibly stolen vehicle near the dry lake bed. The couple was flying a remote control plane for a while and were unable to locate their vehicle when they attempted to leave. They called and reported to Nevada Highway Patrol, and the on-duty trooper informed the dispatch that BCPD would have to take the stolen vehicle report, and that if they had a cell phone, they could call an Uber. NHP was unable to respond to the area. This officer saw the initial call, noting from NHP dispatch that they were unable to respond, and advised BCPD dispatch he would be en route. He was able to locate their vehicle prior to making contact with them and gave them a ride to their vehicle. He provided selfless service and portrayed the department in an extremely positive manner. Will Officer Brandon Blake please come to the podium? In October 2022, this officer was involved in the investigation of a missing person. The wife of the missing person had reported to the police department earlier in that day that her husband was missing. A report was taken at the time. The wife later returned to the police department as no further information had developed, and she subsequently spoke with this officer. The circumstances were that the missing person suffers from mental illness and had recently engaged in risky behavior. He had been placed on several involuntary mental health holds by various agencies and was involved in a high-profile terroristic threat incident at Harry Reid International Airport. He had not been taking his medications and stated he wished to walk to California before leaving. This officer acted with above-average compassion for the situation and listened to the wife's concerns for over a half hour. This allowed him to develop a rapport and get a better idea for the mental status of the missing male. This officer then went above and beyond in his service to the community by following the path we believe the man would have taken. The officer checked several businesses along Boulder City Parkway before eventually driving along US 95. The officer soon located the missing man in the desert area near US 95 and Armor Rock during very dark nighttime conditions. The man did not meet the legal standards for an involuntary mental health evaluation, but this officer was able to build a rapport with him and convince him to accept a ride home to his wife in Boulder City. This displayed an above average capacity for compassion and the well-being of our community members. His actions directly led to the discovery of the missing man's whereabouts and the safe return to his family. Will Officer Armando Salazar please come to the podium? The Meritorious Service Award is not only for officers who develop a program or do work over a long period of time. Sometimes an employee can display meritorious service with a single act. In May of 2023, these officers were dispatched to the Mike O'Callahan Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge in reference to a suicidal subject. The subject had climbed up on the wall of the bridge. Officers immediately began a dialogue with him. He was visibly agitated and extremely nervous. Officers spent 13 minutes talking to him while he was still on the wall, contemplating jumping to end his life. Eventually, one officer was able to distract him while the other was able to maneuver to utilize a takedown off the wall, bringing him safely to the ground. It is unknown if this subject would still be alive today without these officers' successful intervention. Will Officers Jesse Oliver and Ellen NUTZMAN please come to the podium? The Meritorious Service Award can also be given to officers from other agencies. Since 2017, this officer, also known as Ranger, has assisted Boulder City Police Department's K-9 unit in our endeavor of becoming a multiple K-9 team unit. He started by donating an amazing Dutch Shepherd Luna to our K-9 unit shortly after the passing of a narcotic detection K-9. Since then, he has assisted in over 1,000 hours of hands-on training with our K-9 units. He has participated in and contributed to weekly group trainings since 2018, which training has included case law review, development of handler K-9 tactics, and real-world scenario training. Lastly, he introduced our agency to a 320-hour K-9 instructor course, which was instructed by him at no cost to Boulder City Police. His leadership, dedication, experience, knowledge, commitment, and his willingness to assist illustrates he is a true steward of the K-9 trade. Will Ranger Todd Austin of the National Park Service please come to the podium? This officer has acted as a department armorer for over 15 years. In the last 2 years, Officer Richner has acted as the department's main armorer, being instrumental in ensuring all the department's range-related equipment and officer firearms are inspected and up to date. He played a significant role in getting the department armory moved to a new location. He's also responsible for inventorying all issued weapons and doing ammunition counts. He also handles all the purchase requirements for firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Additionally, he worked on a revision for the department equipment issuance policy. He also acts as one of the department range instructors and has been successful in helping officers that needed remedial training. He does these duties in addition to his normal patrol duties and never complains. Will Officer Chad Richner please come to the podium? The Nevada legislature recently enacted legislation making certain motor vehicle laws civil infractions instead of criminal offenses. This change required sweeping changes to how citations are issued and when they are issued. Furthermore, it required a new civil infraction citation and civil not code to be created. This sergeant canceled his scheduled time off in order to work and collaborate with the Brazos technology personnel in the design and implementation of the needed changes. He spent countless hours testing the finished product to ensure it was perfect. He then developed a training curriculum and ensured the police department personnel were trained prior to the January 1st, 2023 deadline. It was documented that an audit on January 3rd of 2023 revealed Boulder City was the only organization in the state of Nevada that had correctly completed the task. This sergeant's work product was given to other jurisdictions in order for them to correctly issue new civil infractions and to provide training to their personnel. This sergeant's hard work and unwavering dedication to the task reflect great credit upon the city of Boulder City, the Boulder City Police Department, and himself. Will Sergeant John Glenn please come to the podium? On numerous occasions, detectives from the Henderson Police Department have assisted the Boulder City Police Department with the downloading of cell phones for the sake of investigating our caseloads. They have been instrumental in making sure we have every opportunity to solve cases that involve cellular phones or other electronic devices. As a prime example, the Directed Patrol Unit was tasked with solving a large burglary, grand larceny case, which involved the download of many electronic devices, including cell phones and laptops. Even while working a homicide of their own, they took time to provide us with our downloaded evidence in a timely manner. In addition to downloading the electronics, they are always available for a phone call to give advice. These detectives have proven to be an absolutely essential component to the success of the Boulder City Police Department in solving complex cases. Will Henderson Police Department Detective Jared Spangler please come to the podium? We would also like to recognize Henderson Police Department Detective Clint Campbell, who could not make it today. Would a representative for him please join Detective Spangler at the podium to accept the award for Detective Campbell? This employee has done an exceptional job ensuring the Boulder City Animal Shelter and its staff have the trust of the community. Nowhere is this more evident in the countless donations she has received from many of our generous citizens. Benefactors have ranged from philanthropists to young school children donating their own money earned at lemonade stands. Undoubtedly, her success is due to caring for the animals as if they were her very own. Her efforts have not been unnoticed by her superiors and are certainly appreciated. Community trust is paramount for the successful operations of any government organization, and the shelter is certainly no exception. Her efforts have brought great credit upon the City of Boulder City, the Animal Control Shelter, and herself. Will Animal Control Supervisor Ann Anante please come to the podium? Both of these dispatchers completed the MACTAC response training in August of 2022, working with police and fire units on scenario-based responses. That training was instrumental in the handling of 3 active shooter calls they received over the next several months to Boulder City High School. The dispatchers worked in tandem, splitting the radio channels and CAD calls between the police response and their fire response. They completed every task quickly and efficiently to give the field responders the information they needed. Additionally, they made all notifications to key personnel, called other agencies to advise them of the situation, and notify them of the possible request for additional units and personnel. This was done while documenting all actions and requests and handling the normal activity of the call center. Fortunately, these calls were determined to be swatting calls, but the professional way they were handled and documented was a textbook example of how to handle a live event. Will dispatchers Aaron Thomas and Lauren Christian please come to the podium? Our next award this afternoon for the police department is the Lifesaving Award. This award is conferred on a department member for the actual saving or preservation of a human life or lives that otherwise would have immediately expired without the member's direct involvement in providing first aid or medical or physical intervention which saves or prolongs another's life. On January 12th of this year, Melissa Findley, a citizen who has a severe sesame allergy, and her husband Steve, met in Searchlight for a breakfast meeting. They had their meal and then left the restaurant. En route back to Las Vegas, about 3 minutes into the drive, Melissa started to have a coughing attack. Unfortunately, this is normally the start of a violent allergic reaction that has in the past even led to her being intubated. Steve continued to drive towards Las Vegas until they stopped about 3 minutes later as her breathing became increasingly labored. Steve contacted 911 and asked for an ambulance to meet them along the way, but felt pulling over to wait for one wasn't an option. They continued for another 5 minutes as her breathing increasingly got significantly worse. Steve persisted to travel at a very high rate of speed, ultimately making the decision to head toward Boulder City Hospital as it was the closest ER by 7 minutes. After turning off 95, they merged onto Boulder City Parkway, where they found 2 officers stopped in the center median. Instinctively, Steve pulled to the side of the road, ran towards the officers, getting their attention. He frantically informed them his wife was in anaphylactic shock and could barely breathe. The officers then made a split-second decision to not wait for an ambulance, but to provide Melissa and her husband with an emergency escort to the hospital. Once they arrived safely at the hospital, Melissa was sedated and needed to be placed on a ventilator. She remained in an intensive care unit for 3 whole days. Both Steve and Melissa believe that the quick thinking of these officers directly contributed to her survival and ultimately saved her life. Will Officers Brian Eby and Brandon Blake please come to the podium? Ladies and gentlemen, while Officers Blake and Eby are coming forward, I'm delighted to introduce the 2 citizens at the center of this story, the woman whose life was saved by these officers, Melissa Findley, and her husband, Steve. Please stand and be recognized.
Our next award goes to an individual who works tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure our community gets the best customer service possible. We're proud to have a hardworking group of volunteers at the police department. And we'd like to take the time to recognize one of them as the Volunteer of the Year. He's been a volunteer since November 2021. He's a California transplant and volunteered 393 hours in 2022. He has an excellent work ethic and attention to detail. He's taken on the responsibility of fleet maintenance for the 3 volunteer patrol cars. Recently, the volunteer program has begun to train volunteers in handicap parking enforcement. He took the lead in this assignment. He was the first volunteer to be trained in the use of electronic ticket writers. He took on the responsibility of training other volunteers and writing a training manual for issuing handicap citations. He's quite a character, always smiling and telling others life couldn't get any better. As you've seen, he has a background in radio broadcasting and has even done some stand-up comedy. He keeps all entertaining with his comedy and impressions. Will volunteer Ron Russ please come and accept the award for Volunteer of the Year.
Okay, who thinks this is rigged? Thank you so much. The next set of awards will be for the Boulder City Municipal Court. This year is the first they have joined us for this ceremony, and we are pleased to honor their dedicated employees. We'd like to invite Municipal Court Administrator Cynthia Garcia to the podium to present the awards. The first award from the court will be for a Certificate of Appreciation. This marshal was hired part-time with the municipal court before being promoted to full-time in 2019. He was instrumental in helping create a functioning system that would not deny citizens of their legal rights afforded through the court system during the pandemic. He assisted in community outreach by organizing and working sober events for court participants who were in the recovery program. This was an underestimated issue and challenge during the pandemic. The department would like to thank him for his assistance with court duties that were outside his scope of work. Will Marshal Drake please come to the podium? Our next certificate of appreciation goes to a deputy marshal who began working with the Boulder City Municipal Court in 2020 after volunteering with the police department as an auxiliary police officer. She set out to put herself through the police academy where she attended nights and weekends. Marshal HESS also worked for the court on Mondays during this time so she could absorb knowledge for her future career goals. She continues to search for additional training that would bolster the court and add additional insight into the system in which she works. The department would like to thank Deputy Court Marshal Laura Hess for her zealous commitment to her community. Will Deputy Hess please come to the podium? Boulder City Municipal Court Marshal Division would also like to award others from outside their agency when their work and dedication is used to assist and further the capabilities of the court to provide services to its citizens. This City Marshal of the Boulder City Police Department has been an example of such service. He's always been available to assist with the courts on top of his other sworn duties and responsibilities. Additionally, he has handled opportunities with the same professionalism and accuracy as the court marshals for whom he stands. The department would like to thank City Marshal Michael Kraus and the Boulder City Police Department for their commitment to our community. Will Marshal Kraus please come to the podium for your certificate of appreciation. And we will accept on his behalf. The next set of awards for the court will be letters of commendation. This marshal was brought over to work with the Boulder City Municipal Court in 2018 after retiring from the Boulder City Police Department. From his beginning with the Marshal Division, he has been instrumental in assisting with the writing, planning, and teaching of the entire department by sharing his wealth of knowledge. He took it upon himself to sign up for training when he found a solvable deficit within the department. He helps to establish new policies and procedures to protect the department and its marshals. The department wants to recognize Marshal Tom Perkins for his dedicated service that goes above and beyond. Will Marshal Perkins please come to the podium? This marshal began working for the municipal court in 2015. During his time of leadership in the department, he's had outstanding relations within the community to increase recovery efforts. He's created a safe space for participants within the recovery court and on supervision. He openly guides present and past participants through tasks and issues that are outside his regular duties. Unfortunately, Chief Marshal Zafransky was not able to make it, but we'd like to offer him a warm round of applause. The next award given is the Community Service Award. This award is given to an individual or team whose actions or service contribute significantly to solving an ongoing problem impacting our community. This employee has worked for the Boulder City Municipal Court for over 15 years. In the face of extreme adversity she and her family have faced in the recent past, she continues to find time to support and assist recovering addicts in our community. These actions are not part of her scope of employment, yet she has used her own time and resources to assist those the most in need. Her personal actions and service on behalf of citizens, including one in particular, have led many to venture to the court in order to receive help or advice. She has made singular impacts and improvements to many in our community regarding mental health, educational assistance, and living arrangements. The department would like to thank Senior Court Clerk Kelly Fulton for the community service she's contributed to many participants and other people in recovery over the last few years. Our next Community Service Award goes to a citizen who is a participant, graduate, and now member of the Boulder City Recovery Court program and team. He is currently employed as a peer support specialist through a grant to work with the Breaking the Cycle Recovery Court, which began 3 years ago. He's acted above and beyond his scope of work by creating and implementing a program to improve educational awareness to the community regarding fentanyl and substance use. He has also used his spare time to establish and chair a new type of recovery program in Boulder City called Smart Recovery. The department is incredibly grateful for the work and assistance that Brett Bratton has contributed while donating service to the community above the requirements of his employment. Will Specialist Bratton please come to the podium?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here. Chief Shea and I know the great people that work on our fire department and police department, but it's nice for the community to get to see that.
I find that the atmosphere here and the cooperation is exemplary, and I really honestly do appreciate everything you all do for us. Thank you very much for all coming.